Ladies and gentlemen, having extreme technical difficulties, but we finally here, and I am with my lovely guest, Ashley Sullivan. Y'all gonna have to go watch the full video on YouTube. Lots of technical difficulties, but we still mobbing. We're here to talk about everything going on in the world in 2020. Ashley, pretty much a doctor in my eyes, came on the show a couple months ago and just set the world on fire with COVID-19 and coronavirus. And we were just honestly trying to help as many people as we can. And she is back to talk about, honestly, our next pandemic. Not our next pandemic, the pandemic that we've been going through for 400 years.
Yeah.
Speak on it. What's your thoughts? How you feel? We just had Juneteenth yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to celebrate like I wanted to. Was supposed to go protest, and I had already been protesting all weekend.
Lots of protests.
Yes, and just looking.
It's gotta be crazy out there in California, right?
Oh my goodness, man! It's a protest every day.
Every day is a protest.
Multiple protests every day.
Wow.
And I always have the different organizations that I work with. They call, they send emails, texts, and we're fighting so many different things. We're fighting racism. We're fighting systemic racism, but we're also fighting the part that gets lost. I think a lot of us know it already, but it's the classism. And the classism is just another tool to reinforce racism. And so we're fighting all those things, and it's just mayhem.
It is out of control. There we go. You can hear me. What I want to get into right off the jump is going from the civil rights movement to our current movement, Black Lives Matter. We are here in 2020. We have seen so many victims killed by the police.
Yep.
We are grieving. We're heartbroken as a people. We don't really have a solution. We don't really know where to go or what to do.
No.
So how should we be thinking as a people?
The thing is that we didn't create the problem, therefore we should not have to come up with the entire solution on our own, is my sentiment on it. We definitely need to be at the table because we weren't before. When
we need a seat at the table.
We need to have seats at the table when dealing with these changes, these different legislative changes, on all levels, not just on the federal level, but all the way down to your local city level. Because simply put, this country was not created for us or by us. And so we're living in someone else's world. And in 2020, everything is becoming clear to people, and now we need, how can I put this? We need change. I mean, this generation is not standing for it.
You feel as though our generation is not standing for it? I feel I've seen a lot of people come out and take a stand. One of my favorite people is Steven Jackson in the NBA. After George Floyd was brutally murdered he actually grew up with George Floyd, and they was actually called twins. And this is some dude that went to the NBA and has a gigantic spotlight. But I personally feel like people are not doing enough. But I'm happy that people are at least doing something. What do you think about the fact that so many people of Caucasian descent is coming out to support?
I think that is a product of us going to school together and being raised together. It's exactly what they didn't. It's exactly what they didn't want. For that reason, you grow up, you go to school together, with people of different races your whole life. They see better than their parents saw.
Right.
The disparities, and the differences in our communities, and so yeah, their generation sees the world for what it is, different than that of previous generations, coming at least for white people, I guess you could say.
Yeah, let's just address it. What we're talking about. We're talking to white people, specifically the oppressors of the past and the systematic oppressors that we face now. And I'm fine with making a stance. If you ain't for the movement, then shut up and get out the way, because we gonna assume that you standing for something else.
Even if you are for the movement, you still need to shut up.
Exactly.
And deal with your home and deal with your people first. We don't need white people speaking on our behalf. This is white people's time to shut up and learn and listen.
I was shocked at the amount of content and material that was coming out from people around the world that were not of color, that was talking about the issues and everything that we were dealing with. I was like, oh, okay, y'all relate. Y'all know how we feel. Y'all got the answers. Okay, nah, that's not how it's supposed to fly at all. That's what I've been trying to put out to people, is to just sit back and listen. Just try listening.
Exactly.
It can take you far.
They don't realize they've been doing the talking for 400 years. For us, they've been doing the talking for 400 years. Y'all don't got all the answers, obviously, because we would not have to have a movement called Black Lives Matter if y'all had the answers.
And on that note, let's talk about the sign of the times. Long ago, there was these people who were slaves in ancient Egypt. And they had to fight their way against the Pharaoh, who did not want to let them out of the land. They just wanted to be free. They wanted to stop being oppressed. And there's a story in the Bible where somebody was attacking one of Moses' brothers. Moses defended him and rebelled, and then Moses' people got mad at him because Moses was like, we need to do better, we need to get out of here. But Moses was still like, yo, you the hypocrite, because you are causing violence too. So I that's funny that come up, because I do love that I just said that Moses was about the revolution. He came out and made stuff happen, but the people ended up following him. And who we're about to start talking about is Pharaoh, who did not want to let my people go.
Yep.
And now we have systematic oppressors, number 45, who is the leader of it all, who does not want to let our people go.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just him though. He's just he's
the puppet.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone that came into office before him was so as well. And
everybody that came into office.
Everybody. And the way the whole system is designed. I mean, everything down to all the senators, the Congress, everybody, everyone in positions of power, um, perpetuated.
And I'm happy you're saying it. Every level is corrupt.
Every.
Let my people go. We're never going to succeed in a capitalistic system where we were set up to fail on the monopoly board with zero properties and just rolling around, just paying and paying and paying, and we don't got no money. We've been paying with our blood, sweat.
No, we built their economics. We played. There's a lady. Dang, what is her name? Kimberly. Kimberly Jones. She said it best. She said, "It's like for 400 rounds of Monopoly, we've been playing, but we didn't get to keep anything. We had to play and give all of our economics and build economics for other people, and then finally they say, okay, go ahead and catch up. Like we can't." And especially not if, you know, they're killing us. How are we ever going to catch up if they're continuously killing us? I mean, like, that's basic civil.
You said, how are we going to catch up if they're killing us? Let me walk us through a quick timeline of everything that's just happened in the past 2 months. So, of course, we're dealing with this coronavirus pandemic. We got to stay in the house. Stay in the house. Stay in the house. Okay, we in the house. We can do this. Hold up. There's Ahmaud Arbery. We're supposed to be in the house, but all these dudes is getting ready to perform a lynching of this young black male just because of their prejudice, their racism, of them not liking him, surrounded Ahmaud Arbery and shot him down. We went crazy. Week later, George Floyd, in the middle of a pandemic, when Negroes are supposed to be in the house, including the cops, including the people that's around recording it. But nah, we're getting mandates from the country, but yet y'all got us out on the cement, burning ground, begging for our mama killing us. And now the revolution has started. We are in the middle of our civil rights movement, our Black Lives Matter movement. And we said something when we was talking, which is my question. All we said was, it's just going to get a little bit better. It's just going to get a little bit better. We are always going to be oppressed.
Always. I don't see a way in the way this country is designed that we're going to get equality. I mean, even if today we just got equality, it's never going to make up for all that we lost prior to that. Like, you know, white people are functioning off of generational wealth, and we're not. So it's like, how are we evening the playing field? That's the only way to make up, is to even the playing field. And that's not happening. I mean, even Biden said it himself. He ain't paying nobody for nothing he didn't do.
So I'm happy you brought him up, because I don't know how political you want to get. But you also made another statement. You said we pretty much have the open races versus the closed races. And that's what we have to decide on.
Yeah, Biden, he's the recently closeted racist. He was pretty much openly racist for many years, voting on all these crime bills and calling us all kinds of things, common denominator. So why people, I understand why people are not so eager to give their vote to Biden when they were talking about withholding their vote. I mean, it's the way I look at it, it's a lose-lose situation. I mean, we all know Trump is a retard, but then we're dealing with a closeted racist that halfway suffers from dementia. Like, I don't. I mean, by all means, don't. But I think that the focus needs to be more on your state and local and city governments and looking at all of those moving pieces, because those are what's going to matter. Those are the ones that are kind of going to affect your daily life. Because to break down that big system, that ain't nothing we're going to see in our lifetimes. I mean, by all means, we're going to keep pushing to change that for our children or possibly our grandchildren. But I don't see equality coming in definitely not my lifetime. I don't know how fast this movement can work. I mean, there's some things happening, but I'm looking at a bigger picture. I'm not looking at just my lifetime. That's
wow,
the thing. I don't look, because in order to, like, and that's not
it's such a selfish society to think like that.
Not, if you look at it, like, that's not how other groups that have dominated societies, that's not how they operate. That's not how they think. They don't think in 5, 10, 20-year increments. They think in 100-year increments. And I'm looking at the 100-year outward,
wow,
the outlook on Black people's plight in this world. That's what I'm looking at. And I don't see no hope.
And let me add in something
in America.
That is so crucial. That is so crucial, because I know that people of color, Black people, will be preserved, that we are here on this earth for a reason, and that is to be the true people. But pretty much in the 1500s, when we decided to start being identified by races, which is a race, we are all our different races. Right now, we are in last place. In America, around the world, we're completely dispersed. Africa.
Even on our homeland. Homeland.
The crucial part about that is in Flint, Michigan, there's no water. We saw what happened in Katrina. All these things that go around in the world, and guess who is going to be the last person when it comes down to the last of the water supply, the last of the food supply, the last of the essentials. I mean, we went crazy over toilet paper and paper towels. Like, we see which community is always in the news for being disrupted with the COVID-19. It's like it's hitting the Black community. It's hitting the Black community. Yep.
Which is something I had always feared. I just didn't know how it would manifest itself. But I had always feared that.
And we had the nerve to laugh at it like we weren't going to be affected by it.
The very first ones to make a joke out of it.
And now we are literally doing the worst from it. And America is okay with us dying off. The poor, the hood, the ghetto.
Man, let me tell you, when white people heard that it was affecting us more, they was like, we want to go back. We want to go back.
Trump, I'm going to come to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where y'all was burned down 100 years ago. We destroyed all y'all progress, and I want to come spread. He got the virus. I want to come spread. I'm not going to wear my mask. I'm not going to wear no gloves. Don't come to our communities. Who told you to come to Tulsa, Oklahoma? Talking about I'm going to come in. They covert operated missions. It seemed too operative. For what? All this going on, and they want us to focus on these rallies and this election.
And you know, I'd be fine if it was something where everybody at the rally just caught it. But the thing is that it's not just going to stay at the rally if it gets passed around. It's going to work its way into our communities. Why? Because Black people are frontline, essential workers in every aspect of daily life.
I know you don't do, well, you do a lot of sports. NCAA, pretty much modern day slavery. Working these boys of color and not giving them a dime except this college tuition. But let something go wrong, we'll take this college tuition, all these benefits away fast. But you're going to come here and work these ACLs, these hamstrings, all these muscles, blood, sweat, and equity. I'm with the NBA coming back and having a season, but that's one of the very few leagues. I'm pretty sure you're not anybody coming back. But
Not exactly.
college football above all wants to come back, which they move
Of
the
course
market,
they do.
and they don't pay nobody $1. I mean, black people still going to be getting money in their pockets when NBA come back. Is one of my biggest points. And Clemson football, one of the best football teams, came out, and their football team, which is maybe about 100 people, they said like 30 of them caught the virus. They bring in our young black men back to work for free to do this slave labor NCAA, and now they got half of us infected us.
They infected the thing. And
no monetary gain.
Students before anything. I know that they're NCAA,
I thought they were students. No, they ain't students.
And they're dragging these students
slave laborers.
So you're telling me that the rest of the students, they get to have their classes and all of that, but this particular group of students, because they're making you money, they got to come back. But nobody else is on campus though. Like it's all ass backwards.
Big black athletes that we can use. We've not talked about a single positive thing yet, and this is not how I wanted to have this conversation.
I know, right?
Although it's horrible, we can still have our Juneteenth celebration. So we're gonna get to a solution. But I want to talk. We may have a solution, ladies and gentlemen. But I want to talk about one last thing. I know you've been doing a lot of research. I want you to educate the people. And I want to talk about disparities in education. We know our education system is completely jacked up for the people of color, the hood. We know we have to go through. It's crazy. But Jane Elliott, right? That's her name?
Yes.
She's here for the people. She's here for the culture.
She's been here for the people for a good decades. 50, 60 years. I mean, she
almost a century.
Just
say a century.
Half a century, man. Like, this lady deserves like a Nobel Peace Prize, whatever. And when I say all people can learn from her, white people specifically, but black people also can learn from her as well. She is a true pioneer in educating white people and understanding what it is like to be black in America. People want to play that I don't see color, that blind, want to be blind to everything. No, she's waking people up. She's been waking people up. She did it with her students the day after Martin Luther King was assassinated. That was the first time she did her first experiment, and she's been doing it ever since then. And she's an educator. A true educator, not a teacher, an educator, because the thing is that we were not educated in America. We were indoctrinated. We were indoctrinated to know what they wanted us to know, both white and black.
Christopher Columbus, y'all. Christopher Columbus. Bullshit. What is one of the biggest things? Because I went and watched her interview, an old white lady, I'm like, wow, had this big impact on what she was teaching. And she is called openly a white, she's openly called a, what'd they call her? One of them,
they called her a traitor to her race.
Traitor! Yeah,
they called her a traitor to her race. So you know she's speaking truth if people calling her a traitor to her race. And she said, I'm not a traitor to the human race, is what I'm not.
Exactly. Mankind, not white supremacy. Plain and simple, if we're going to say it in black and white.
Yep.
My favorite thing, I got to go back and rewatch her interview. But you were talking about how we are taught. This was something that was just amazing to me. The maps, the different sizes and the ratio of the maps, we're taught it completely and literally wrong.
Wrong. Everything, even the smallest details that we take for granted, that we just assume, they are wrong. The map was designed in a way to make European Christian countries appear to be bigger than the melanated countries of the world, which are actually bigger, and Africa specifically is the center of the world.
Yeah, Africa should be in the center and everything else around it.
Everything else, because everything spread from there.
It's the start of life, the start of mankind, Garden of Eden.
I mean, the way, and you can see it for yourself, even if you take just your regular map and you actually look at the fine print on the map, it will tell you that I believe South America is 7 times larger than Greenland. But if you look at the map, Greenland looks bigger. Like, these are mind games and tricks. And so if we're indoctrinating people on something as small as how the continents are size, how much do you think they're lying to you about our history?
So I'm gonna put all electronics up because I'm gonna sit back, we're gonna relax, and we're gonna have a good celebration. Because you're talking about history. So give me a drink before I start what I'm about to say. Jesus Christ. We know he's a real person. You may not believe he's the Messiah. That's perfectly understandable. Maybe you prefer Muhammad or Elijah Krishna or Buddha. But
yeah,
he was on this earth. He's in, I forget the most famous historian, but he's in historians' books from back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot where I was going with this. I done brought up Jesus, man. I completely forgot. I lost it. I'm not going to lie. What was we talking about?
We were talking about all the lies. So there's a lot of lies with the depiction of Jesus too. I don't know if that's...
Yes! Oh, okay, thank you. That's what you were saying. Yeah, exactly. So, Jesus. Yeah, well, that man don't got no blonde hair and blue eyes. There's Bibles that I have where they got Jesus with blonde hair. I know they created paintings. I know they created a statue, but they put this dude in the actual word with blonde hair and blue eyes, just looking like he ready to support Hitler's movement, a true Aryan.
Looking like a whole hippie.
So, last week, news came out. We've always known as black people that they took Jesus from us, that Jesus was a man of color.
Mm-hmm.
Beethoven was not white. I was like, duh, what great. There are some great white musicians, but we know who dominates the music game. And to say one of the greatest pianists ever, everybody from back then is just white, when we know black people have been set up to be spread throughout the world since day one.
We're the most creative. We had to be in order to populate the world. We had to be out of the box thinkers to have courage.
Beethoven was black. I said every single thing about history, all the successful, all of the trending things, all of the popping things, like art, like music. Like, I'm like, wow, I cannot understand how many black people. We can talk about, I'm not going to degrade it. We talk about electronics and Thomas Edison, I'm positive that if you look into it, he had a black staff. I don't know the dudes and the names and the ladies that was working with him, but he don't deserve the credit for that light bulb.
Yeah, it's so, look, we can even get into the fact that Greek philosophy was actually African philosophy. They took it and relabeled it. All of the things that people hold into high esteem was stolen from Africa repackaged and rebranded, and then they flipped it on us and told us we never contributed.
Hold on. You telling me I live my life, ladies and gentlemen, if you listen, according to the Bible, and the Bible is written in Hebrew, language of black, and Greek, and you telling me Greek is the language of black too? So
the freaking philosophy, the great philosophers, all of those people, they took it. Those were actually African philosophers, and then they took it. They might renamed them, re-imaged them, put statues up of them.
So
in European form.
About to get crazy, but I have a question.
We could be here all day. But
Julius Caesar, the greatest Greek, right? Or was he Roman?
I think he was Roman. I think he was Roman.
See, I need to get on top of my history. But I know he led the civilization that came back in like AD, when AD came after BC, the early 1, 2, 3, 4, until he got set up by his squad.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense that he had to be Roman. I gotta look it up now.
I think he was Roman, and I think he had some dealings in Africa too. Like, it's been a while.
That was the thing. Everybody went to Africa. Everybody was going to Africa. I think he even
might have had he was dating one of the I don't know what you call the female pharaoh or what. I think he might have been dating one. It's all twisted and convoluted. I got so much history in my brain. I'm not going to always get the story all perfect, but...
And it doesn't matter because, you know, who else went down to get an African woman in the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
Solomon, the king after David, who was the wisest and most richest and the most successful man that we've ever seen. A black man also went down to Egypt and got the black pharaoh, the queen of that time, and brought them together. So I'm like, wow, you saying...
What, Bathsheba, correct?
Was it Bathsheba? I don't think it was Bathsheba, but I'm not sure.
Well, I'm a little
yeah, when you say Bathsheba, I just start thinking of the worst. What was her name? The one was with Baal and Balaam. We started talking about the Bible. We ain't gonna take you out of church.
Is that everything that's going on today, we can refer it and reflect back to the Bible. There's nothing.
So let's get to it.
It's already been written.
This is what I'm here for. You have the solution. You have something that all black people should do. Because guess what the funny thing that all the randomness we're talking about just things that is irrelevant to what we're trying to talk about. But what we said is every white leader, not even white leader, every leader, most leaders went down to Africa. But our people, we literally, our conversation is we can't go to Africa. One, we ain't going to get along. We don't like each other. They don't believe we true Africans. But every other person, Spaniards, Italians, British, they all go to Africa. They all want to get the goods. But we don't want to go. What's our solution?
The thing is what they do is the media. It's all the media is propaganda. All they do is show us all the starving children, all the feed the children infomercials at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and tell us that is what Africa is, and that's not what it is. It's not what it is at all. And as long as they keep us out of Africa, and they can do to Africa what they did with the indigenous people and the native people here in America. Because the thing is that they're trying to get a hold of Africa because Africa has all the resources.
Right.
If we want to talk about looting, if we really want to talk about looting, that's where the real looting is going on, is in Africa. And the thing is
China, not in South America, definitely not in Europe. God put the resource. I keep talking about God. I just need to start a church service. God started Eden in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't find it. We'll never be able to see it. But one day it's just going to be like, wow, it's right there. The garden, and boom, all it, Wakanda.
I'm telling you, like, look, we over here fighting, and which I'm not saying we shouldn't fight because we built this, so we have entitlement to it.
We actually should. We should.
We should. But we also, it's a duality. We also should be fighting for the motherland as well and building the motherland with our brothers and sisters. They want us to come home.
So Akon, one of my favorite celebrities, already went back to Africa and built a super land. Mm-hmm. Wyclef Jean, also shout out to him. I'm pretty sure he's big in Haiti. Ludicrous.
I just found out before.
Well, we just jumped ahead. We even talked about the solution.
Right.
You sent me. I wish I had the video of the lady ready, but all my technology is a mess right now. But usually I would have that video to play with a side screen with us of that lady. I say when you send it to me, I immediately press screen record. I'm adding this to a show, adding this to post, and she was like, "Wow!" I felt like that was a family relative, a woman in my family saying, "Hey, I know what you're going through in America. We are here for you, Africa."
They are, though. That's the thing. The thing is that they're here for us, and when we get over there, we can be there for them as well, because because we're still the same people. We're still creative. We just have, because we've been exposed to a different environment, we have different creative outlooks. We can go over and bring the creativeness over there and start businesses and build up over there as well as them teaching us. Like, it's a give and take.
She said it. We have to go to Africa. It just came out. We've been building up to it. The Gambia.
Yes. I mean, there's like 50-something countries in Africa. Africa is a whole
Guinea. Am I saying that right? Guinea was a big one. Ghana.
Ghana.
A big one.
There's so many. Nigeria, Tanzania, Sierra Leone. I'm mostly looking at the English-speaking countries because those will be an easier transition for Africans of the diaspora.
What's the diaspora?
It's pretty much the black people that are spread throughout the world. That's the diaspora.
Wow.
So all the black people in the Caribbean and in South America and in America and in the UK and wherever we are, we're part of the African diaspora. We're not on our homeland.
Think about that. Wow.
We belong
Africa diaspora. We're not on our homeland. We belong to Africa.
So it's silence. I know, right?
Because that's what we've been talking. We've been on here for 41 minutes. I think we got 35 minutes of content, but we're talking about education system. We talked about the political system. We talked about the justice system. The cops keep killing us. We talked about the judicial system, the judges, Supreme Court, every system, the financial system. There's nothing we can talk about. And you just told me the diaspora is all black people, and we are not where we're supposed to be. All people of color. Primarily, I know India has people of color. You could consider Asia people of color, but we spent a lot of time in Europe. There's a lot of black people that just wandering around in Europe. A lot of black people wandering around. We're talking about the slave trade people. Let's be specific. The people that went to the different islands, Cuba, Haiti, all the
Caribbean islands.
Yes, that's the diaspora. That's crazy.
Yep.
And we all in all these different places suffering.
Suffering for no reason. I mean, I know we have ties. I understand. I do not want to downplay that at all. Because I know very well how much and understand how much our ancestors contributed to all these societies, not just America, but all of these societies. And yes, we're entitled to such, but is that entitlement ever going to come? My thing is that we're the 400 years is up, right? When Moses took his people out of Egypt, about 400 years, and the thing is they wandered in the desert for like 40 years or so.
An entire generation.
This is the thing. I'm not trying to wander. Let me just go head over to Africa. I'm gonna march over here, but my last march is gonna be to the airport, and I'm about to go to the promised land.
So why God allowed his precious people that he loved? God loved his people, but we are hard-necked and stiffed. I mean, we're black. We know how we are. Go to a cookout, and all we do is talk shit. And you best believe we're gonna talk shit about the great one above too. That's why he loved us.
Mm-hmm.
And he did not let that generation go into the promised land because they were bitter. They had too much pain in their heart. Mm-hmm. They remembered too much oppression. Mm-hmm. They remembered all of the pain. They remembered all the bitterness. They remembered all the fussiness and complaining to God. Mm-hmm. And they were not allowed into the land. And guess what? The people afterwards, there was also issues with them. So I don't say that to say that black people can't enter into the land, because you can enter into that land into your mind.
Exactly.
Those things that I said.
Because that's the thing. Most of us, because we've been indoctrinated, we have slave mentality. And one of the things that got the people, the Israelites, distracted is them, worshiping idols and worried about trinkets and all these material things. And we're so fixated, we're so caught up in this rat race over here, and trying to scrounge for a little bit of trinkets over here, when the thing that we really need, and we were denied and they were giving to others, was the land to bring about prosperity for not just us, but for generations to come.
That's what God gave them. God said, I have land filled with milk and honey, with everything you'll need. You don't have to build. You don't have to. I have land. What did they take away from us? They took our land. We have no ownership. We own 1% of the land that we built. 1%.
Crazy. I know that, but I knew it was a small number. And the thing is, all while they were telling black folk that they couldn't give us the land, they were giving the land to white people.
Average African American household, $17K. Average white. Think about all the white people that who are less fortunate. The average white household is $177,000 compared to our 17. And think of all the wealthy black people, how those numbers, like what I was telling people, those numbers is going to be from a wide variety, but you have to look at the big picture, and how you have to look at the biggest and the lowest, pretty much. I forget my range and all the different numbers. I ain't been to math class in years, but it's crazy. And we own nothing. We don't own Atlanta. We don't own Houston. We don't own Detroit.
Yeah, they call it Atlanta Wakanda for what reason, I don't know. It ain't ours.
We don't have a lot of ownership. I'm pretty sure there's some successful people that own specific parts, but nah, they've made sure that we don't have any ownership, and that's the biggest thing. We don't have our land filled with milk and honey. And
but the thing is it exists though.
It exists.
We can easily go get it. There, and the reason why I said the Gambia, I'm still in the middle of a research, so this is just like phase 1 of my research. And the reason why I'm looking at the Gambia is because it's one of the countries that have yet to be developed, which means that I mean, there is some development. Like, it's not like people see on TV, like you're not about to go live in a hut or nothing like that. I'm talking about land and infrastructure. It's just, it hasn't got into like a big city. It hasn't got to the point that it's like a big city where it's expensive yet. I'm talking about going and getting the land on the Las Vegas Strip before it becomes the Las Vegas Strip.
This is crazy. This conversation is bringing like worries to my eyes, because you said it's not expensive. It's not expensive. Who gives a fuck about expenses? You sent me a video of the bull that went there, and I found out he was actually visiting from America. He wasn't an African, and he was just enjoying his time. I'm like, wow, we can go to a land where we're not going to get pulled over and be immediately looked at and judged as, let me walk up to this nigger with my hand on my gun. No, you go into a store and not go, I wonder if they can afford what they looking at. What they in here for?
Exactly.
You can go to school. You can go into politics. You can try to run a country. You can have any aspiration. That's the beautiful thing, is what you can go to the.
And you can literally go and just do you. As long as you ain't hurting nobody, you can just go and do you without anyone hovering over you, hindering you.
My favorite thing about the video that you sent me is I love to read the comments. And it's just all these black people on here. Man, my beauty salon, I've been wanting to get it up. And I can imagine if I went over there and just started my beauty salon. I do beauty salon, I do kids, I do this, and then all the black businesses that they deny us from starting, we could go over there, and it was just a beautiful. I'm like, wow, you could go. And I'm like, well, what do I do? I mean, I got military experience. I did this, and this. I can manage. All I got is a podcast. I'm like, well,
but it's not all I got. This is like something grand. Like,
I could go do whatever I want in this land. That's way that they want us to come back.
They want us to, because this is the thing. It's not only you that's going to benefit from it, but you can employ people who are like you, who look like you, who identify with you more. I don't care what issues we may have when Africans come over here with or what they think, or we have more in common with them than we do with our white brothers and sisters. That's just, it is what it is.
Just thinking of the day when we could all be there screaming.
Oh, let me tell you, don't get it twisted. This ain't just a theory or anything like that. First of all, people are already over there. People from military backgrounds, all types of backgrounds have already made their way over there. Also, because of COVID, has kind of prevented some of the migration as well. But as soon, and mark me when I say, as soon as these flights open up, it's going to be a migration. It's going to be a mass exodus out of America. A mass exodus. And for those of us that are not ready yet, you really need to start thinking about it and devising a plan. Some of us are, some years away from retirement, or just only a few years away from retirement. For those of us that are not at retirement yet, we can just go ahead, finish up your degrees, whatever it is that you need to just do that will benefit you before you go over there. Get in doing it, and then go ahead and take your last march.
Wow.
Because that's where I'm headed.
We both had serious goals.
We did.
Saving our family. And if any of our family is watching, I'd be like, man, my family be like, I don't fool with them, but I'm like, we trying to help right here. And we don't hear from none of y'all, but we want to build a self-service economy for our people. self-sustaining. We want to have our own vegetables, our own fruit, our own everything. But it starts with the natural herbs that come
And keep
from the ground.
circulated in the community, because even over here, we know that the money does not stay in the community long enough.
Taking
Like you
all
did
of
back
our
in Black Wall
knowledge,
Street,
all
like
of our
you did in
resources,
Tulsa,
we
Black
are
Wall
trying to
Street,
create a
Rosewood, all those.
Black Wall Street in Africa. That's officially the movement. It's officially the movement.
I'm trying to be on the wave of the buildup of the Black Wall Street, of the country.
Guess
I want to
what?
be
Guess
there
what?
when it.
Guess what? I don't want to take your mindset and our mindset, because we move together on a lot of these thoughts. I want us to become the wave, and I think we can, because guess what? I mean, ludicrous. That's what we started talking about, but there is no wave yet. And you know what the biggest? Hold on, let me come back to the camera, because I had to go fix me something, because this is getting good. Let's bring this back to the Bible. I would fashion to say 99, maybe 0.9% of them ignorant mother people that God loved did not want to leave Africa. God, why are you bringing us through Africa? You kill all the Egyptians. You killed Pharaoh in the Red Sea being spread. You've given us food. You've given us water. But America was so much better. I mean, we had social media. I mean, we could go to the mall. I mean, we had, what do we got in America? We had the education system. No, that don't work for us.
Indoctrination system.
We had organized democracy, capitalism.
I mean, like, look here. Whatever it is that, fancies you over here in America, you can get that over there, and better and better. This is my thing. The thing is we're over here living in shacks, and we could be over there living in mansions. I'm not talking about no Pop-Tart houses like they put up over here. I'm talking about marble floors and bidets.
Let me tell you something.
For the cost of a down payment on a house in America.
We both grew up in impoverished communities, the ghetto, the hood, and there's countless black men that we can name whose lives just gone. I mean, not even 20 yet. Family members, friends, it's just gone. They're on this earth. They're either in the penitentiary or 6 feet under, and their life and their value and everything they was meant to bring to our culture is gone, and it is painful and it's hurtful. And I'm like, I can only think of all the reasons that we're going to get of why you don't want to go. But I got 2 black sons. I got black brothers. I'm like, I know life is always going to throw you in all kinds of ways. And I am 1,000% that my brothers, my sons, are going to go through an experience where there's situations and nights where they may lose their life with a cop. Because I've had multiple, and thank God that I'm still here. But any night.
Exactly. And I've had my experiences.
We don't have to live like
brutality. I do not want to bring... first of all, America's not safe by any means, like, at all, in comparison to, like, it's everything. We have to break down some of these issues, some of these fears as well of people going to Africa, because, some of the things they say is, they think it's not safe. Are you kidding me? This is an insane asylum over here. We were born into an insane asylum.
So,
we're not free. It's dangerous. You can't just, you can't let your children out of their eyesight. I do not want
to. Let me add a parenthesis in what you're saying. Don't lose your thought. George Floyd died 20 days ago. I saw this on the internet. May not be true, but it sounds true to me. Over 120 police deaths since George Floyd died 20 days ago. 5 deaths a day. On top of that, they fucking hanging us.
Don't give me...
I want to get you started.
My paranoia has went through the roof.
And it's a lot in California. It should.
Yeah. like, people talk about how liberal and everything, like California, even as free as California is, which I'm speaking relatively to other states.
Exactly. California, first
people.
state to start paying college athletes. Shout out.
They still hanging people. So, like, you ain't nobody getting hung in the Gambino.
White supremacy having the biggest battle of their life. Biggest battle is because we can look at through any age, but right now they have the most biggest buffoonist leader, Pharaoh. Mm-hmm. Pharaoh was a complete idiot. Mm-hmm. Hold on. I gotta get Pharaoh said, go ahead. Y'all can leave. Couple hours later, my man retracts the statement. No, they can't leave. Let's get all the armies and run them down. Okay, that
oh, he went through it a couple of times.
That registers in my mind. But then you see the whole camp, millions of people, a sea gets spread, and they walk through it. Mm-hmm. We're following. No. Black people don't even want to swim. He followed them people through the river that was split. That's almost dumb as saying I let the world know about Juneteenth. I don't know which is dumber.
They said, like, because we're over here asking, like, let our people go, but the thing is that they're hoping they're keeping us here by the images, by the imagery that they portray of Africa. That's how they're doing it on a mental, like in the Bible.
Pharaoh didn't want to let the people go.
Because if you like, I don't know how people are with the Bible, but like this is the thing. Like when you're reading the Bible and you're reading these stories, you have to apply them in different ways. Like in the Bible, the stories are very like everything happened physically, but we have to think about things on a spiritual level. We have to think in other ways of how these things are happening. They're not physically at the moment because we got to come to a circle with the fact that they're doing a lot of things, like travel shut down, and coming in October you have to have a real ID and stuff to travel, and then and they're going to be connecting that real ID with, like, if you owe money, child support, all those types of things, and you can't travel. So the thing is that if you can get out sooner than later,
I had to add an excerpt. What you saying? Another parentheses.
So you manifest in a physical way. You
are the Speakeasy medical expert. I don't know if you know that yet, but you are girl. And I watched a startling video on the coronavirus, in which the video addressed Bill Gates from birth up until now and broke down every major thing in his life that you should know about, from his upbringing into how he is now. And he has come out with multiple videos and interviews where he feels Nostradamus-like, a little god-like. And in 2017, I found out that my man predicted this virus.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he even talked about it well before then. I mean, he even talked to Trump about it. When Trump first took office, he told him, this is a potential problem. Like, we need to get some things in order because America's not ready for something like this.
My question is, he's doing a lot of warning, a lot of boy cry wolf, a lot of crying prophet, which makes him sound good. But there's a lot of affiliation and ties to his operations in Wuhan and the origination of everything. So am I not supposed to think that Bill Gates has a lot of questions to ask about where this came from, how it came about, and how you knew about it?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, he's involved with developing vaccines. So
that's where I want to get to. So let me just finish before I throw this alley oop.
Yeah, like to me, this is like basic stuff for me.
There's 7 billion humans on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
For the first time in a long time, there is finally going to be a market where every single person is looking to a vaccine for this virus.
I'm not.
Exactly.
As medical as I am,
exactly. I'm happy you said that because you don't. You don't. But you need to do the things to stay away from the virus, of course, but the world is going to be going crazy for this. I'm not talking about the people like you and I who don't want even nothing to do with medical facilities. But they about to go crazy for this vaccine, and the market for it is almost $2 trillion. And what I pretty much learned is that chip, the vaccine is going to be the chip.
We discussed this. I don't think we ever discussed this on camera, but I discussed this early on that because there's so many things going on the physical and the spiritual level. Like everything is tied together, and I try to keep it as simple and basic as possible because I don't want people to get information overload. I just put them on a need to know basis as much as I think that someone can be able to handle, even though people was not trying to hear what we had to say. But yeah, we're looking at like a whole first thing first. I mean, before we even get the chip, like, are they even going to be like trying to force it? And what type of rights those will be violating, and all this and the other. And I mean, they've been playing with chips for years. They've been trying to figure out ways to implement chips. Played a role let's be
frank. They had us carrying them in the military. They weren't on our body, but we had to keep them damn cap cards on us all the time.
Yeah, but I was always vigilant about that while I served, and it played a role in me understanding that I think time was up. And I didn't want. I could kind of sense because I kind of walk around with a third eye anyway. I could kind of sense that time was up, and I don't think that I need to be within an institution where I don't have complete say-so over myself. And so, there were many things, but that played a role. And let me tell you something. We can talk about this coronavirus and all that all day, but where people aren't on lockdown and coronavirus ain't running rampant?
Ooh, let me take a guess. There's a couple places. South Korea's numbers are still pretty low, right? Venezuela, is it where they have no coronavirus?
I don't know about that. My thing is I don't even look. Honestly, I have not looked at the numbers.
There's a country that came out and they said they completely got rid of it.
No, New Zealand.
Yeah. Got rid of it. Not Venezuela.
But they didn't have that many cases to begin with. They were one of the last countries to even get it. They had plenty of time to prepare and know that it was real. I mean, like a lot of other countries did. But they were the last ones to get it. They didn't have that many cases. I mean, New Zealand is a pretty isolated area anyway. They own their own island all to themselves anyway. So, like, a different scenario with them. They got rid of it though. They did their due diligence and they got rid of it. But in the Gambia and stuff like that, I'm just saying, like, in a lot of those, like, if you look, the last time I looked at the map, Africa is not even like popping with coronavirus like that, and like people aren't, like, there's some areas, but they're mostly in areas where a whole lot of colonization is happening.
In Africa, still.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, the Chinese is trying to work their way into Africa. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is the thing. We need to get there and build Africa up, because Africa is the future. We need to get there before they take it all over. Like, nobody needs to be taking it over. Like, black people should be going there to become one with our brothers and sisters, to build up and restore so many things. We're going there for multifaceted reasons. People of the African diaspora, they're only going there to serve their interests. That is not, certain countries have their, they have their country on lock, and that's not happening. But in others where, there is needs for certain industries, countries like China are coming in and taking over and looting. So,
wow. Where do you want to take this next? Let me ask you. We've been doing this for an hour.
How much I've said, how much more I need to say.
Oh no, I think the message is across. The Gambia is what you need to start researching tonight.
Or other places, Tanzania. I mean, look at, first and foremost, like, if you know that you're not someone who's going to want to go through learning a new language, first just start divvying out which ones are English-speaking countries, like, first and foremost. Then decide, like, you have to look at your career field, and if you just want to try to walk into a career in an established country, or do you want to be a part of the development and go over as an entrepreneur? I would implore people to visit, but from my understanding from people that have already done so, they feel like the Gambia is actually like a good stepping stone anyway. So, like, even if you're not going to stay there, it's just a good stepping stone because of the cost of living is lower than a lot of the other countries. And to be honest, so many of us are entrepreneurs. So many of us. I have entrepreneur skills, but that's not my main field, though. That's probably one of the hardest things I'm having trouble with. Being in the medical field, that is so very, very specific. It's small. My specific field is small in the U.S., so
non-existent.
Yeah, it's, I don't know if.
But that don't got nothing to do with your primary skill.
So I'm not
your primary skill is teaching, right?
Yeah, and that's what I want to do, but is teach, but that will require me. The skill level that I'm on is on a professor level, not primary education. So
you got to teach at an institution. You don't go teach no badass kids.
I mean,
what you just pretty much said.
On a, like, another level that I can teach, because I've done everything from even teaching Sunday school, like, even the basics. So I could, but I want to teach and give knowledge to adults so that they can go out and save people and acquire it. Like, because I know what I've been able, like, the fulfillment I've gotten from my contribution to helping save lives, and I want to be able to give people the skills to do the same. And I'm good at it. At least teaching. I have the patience and all of that. Because it's not teaching. It's not for everybody. But you know.
We have talked about a lot.
Me and this dolphins, boo.
I hope this blessing people and changes lives. Y'all got the movement. We are figuring out the plan to mobilize. Matter of fact, before we end this thing, I got some wise words. I got a quote from Frederick Douglass, one of the initial activists, one of the original people from the camp of Israel moving us to the promised land, said, "There is no progress without struggle. We need unity of action and unity of thought, mobilization, and organization. We have no organization as a people. So, if we can start here, we start here. We're going to follow, organize, and figure out a plan to help restore as many black lives as we can. Because Black Lives Matter.
They do. They do indeed. Every day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Speakeasy. Thank you, Oscar, for tuning in with us once again.